27 shots, one of the most expensive footballing machines ever assembled. A 40-year-old goalkeeper from a tiny archipelago of 500,000 people, he stopped every single one. When the final whistle blew, he didn't celebrate. He collapsed and wept. He wasn't crying because he had just made history. He was crying because the one person he needed in that stadium was 4,000 miles away. She was locked out by a piece of paper she could never afford. This is the story of the save no camera caught. The world will remember the diving stops. They will remember the scrambles in front of the goal. They will recall the Spanish superstars standing with their hands on their heads. They were staring at a man who simply would not break. But the real story of that afternoon in Atlanta is not only what happened on the grass. It is about who was missing from the seats. It is about a mother who waited a lifetime to watch her son walk out onto football's biggest stage. She was barred from entry by a financial wall higher than any stadium fence. Two stories collided that afternoon. One was a miracle of sport. The other was a failure of the system. Let us start with the man in the goal. 10 years ago, almost nobody outside of Cape Verde knew the name Josimar Diaz. He was a goalkeeper drifting through the forgotten corridors of European football. These were not the bright televised cathedrals of the Premier League. These were cold, half-empty grounds in towns most fans could not find on a map. He did not even turn professional until he was 25 years old. In the hyper-accelerated world of modern football, that is an eternity. By 25, most stars are already looking toward their second major contract. Josimar was just beginning to pack his bags. For 15 years, he kept moving. He kept chasing a career that never quite touched the sun. He earned a strange nickname along the way, Vozinha. In Portuguese, it means little grandmother or granny. The story is simple. The older boys he played with as a kid would knock him around on the pitch. He would run home to complain to his grandparents. They teased him for it. The name stuck. It is a soft name for a man who plays such a hard position, but those grandparents were his entire world. They raised him. They built the foundation of the man who would eventually face the world's best. Hold on to that detail. It matters more than the scoreline. He joined the Cape Verde national team in 2012. For years, the team existed in the shadows. There were moments when he thought about walking away. He stayed for a dream. He believed his small island nation could reach a World Cup. If they did, he wanted to be the one guarding the net. Look at the numbers. Cape Verde is a group of islands off the coast of West Africa. Only 500,000 people live there. The entire population could fit inside one mid-sized American city. They had never qualified for a World Cup, not once. Then came 2026. They earned their spot the hard way. In African qualifying, they won 7 games and drew 2. They lost only once. They finished top of their group. Their coach, a local man known as Bubista, built a unit that defended like their lives depended on it. But the football gods are often cruel. For their first ever World Cup match, they were drawn against Spain. Let us be precise about the Spanish squad. At kickoff, they were ranked the second best team on the planet. They were the reigning champions of Europe. Their bench alone was worth more than the entire Cape Verdean economy. They had Lamine Yamal, a teenager who had already conquered the world. They had a squad where world-class starters were left in the dressing room. Days earlier, another debutante nation had been dismantled 7-1 by Germany. Everyone expected Cape Verde to suffer a similar fate. The math suggested a slaughter. The match took place in Atlanta on a humid Monday afternoon. From the first whistle, Spain attacked in waves. It was a masterclass in possession, pass after pass, wave after wave. The ball was pinned deep in the Cape Verde half. By the end of 90 minutes, Spain had taken 27 shots. That is a number that usually signals a blowout. But standing between the posts was the granny. He refused to let the script be written. The 39th minute defined the match. Spain worked the ball down the left flank. They carved open the defense. Suddenly, a striker had a clear chance 6 yards out. Vozinha flung himself into the path of the ball. The shot smacked off the crossbar with a deafening thud. The ball popped up into a chaotic scramble. A Spanish player rose to head the rebound toward the empty net. Vozinha somehow defied physics. He scrambled up, leapt again, and shoved the ball away with his fingertips. The stadium gasped. The numbers were failing. Spain kept coming. They sent on Lamine Yamal in the second half to pick the lock. It didn't matter. Every cross, every low drive, and every loose ball found the keeper's gloves. By the end of the day, he had made 7 saves. 6 of those were from inside the box. These are the high-probability chances that usually end in a goal. He even finished with 68 touches of the ball. For a goalkeeper, that is an astronomical figure. It means he wasn't just a shot stopper, he was the heartbeat of the defense. When the whistle finally blew, the score was 0-0, a clean sheet against the most clinical team in the world. At 40 years and 12 days old, Vozinha became the oldest player ever to play in his country's first World Cup game. Cape Verde became only the 7th team in history to avoid defeat in their opening match. A nation that had never been there before took a point from the tournament favorites. To his teammates, this was no fluke. One defender called him a big legend. Another said Vozinha lives and breathes the islands. He is the strict one. He is the one who pushes them in the dressing room. The granny was the general. But look back at that final whistle. This is where the highlight reel ends and the investigative reality begins. Vozinha did not celebrate. He sank to his knees. He hunched over and he wept. His teammates thought it was the weight of the achievement. It wasn't. Later, when the adrenaline faded, he told reporters the truth. He cried because the grandparents who gave him that nickname were not there. They had passed away a few years earlier. They had missed the single greatest day of his life. Then he said the other thing. The thing that turned a sports story into a global scandal. His mother was not there either, not because she didn't want to be. She was absent because of a visa. She was absent because of money. Her name is Ana Candida Avora. She is 59 years old. She works as a house cleaner on the island of Sal. She is the woman who believed in him when he was playing in empty stadiums for no money. Here is the cold, hard arithmetic of the border. Cape Verdean citizens were being asked to pay visa bonds of up to $15,000 to enter the United States. Think about that number. For a house cleaner in Cape Verde, $15,000 is not just a fee. It is a lifetime of labor. It is a wall made of paper and bureaucracy. The door was shut before she ever reached it. The system had decided that the mother of the hero was a financial risk. The irony is staggering. FIFA's marketing is built on the idea of football unites the world. They talk about the global game, but the reality is a tiered system of access. If you are born in the wrong place with the wrong bank balance, the game is not for you, even if your son is the one the world is cheering for. The day before the match, Ana went on national television in Cape Verde. She made a public promise to the nation. She said that not a single ball would get past her son. The next afternoon, against the most dangerous strikers on earth, she was proven right. She called the miracle, but she was not allowed in the building to witness it. The world noticed. The internet is a powerful tool for outrage. Before that game, Vozinha had around 50,000 followers on Instagram. Within hours, that number exploded. 1 million. 2 million. Soon, he had more followers than the entire population of his country. A 40-year-old from the second division was a global icon, but the followers were a distraction. The empty seat was the story. When Vozinha's tearful words spread, they reached the people who hold the keys. In the United States, political pressure began to mount. The House Democratic leader spoke directly to the Secretary of State. He asked the department to intervene. He said, "No mother should miss the chance to see her child make history." The Cape Verdean government joined the fray. FIFA, sensing a public relations disaster, finally moved their massive machine. This wasn't a series of isolated mistakes. It was exactly how the system was designed to work. The system is built on the assumption that people from small, developing nations are always looking for an exit. It ignores the human element. It ignores the fact that a mother just wants to see her son play. But under the glare of millions of new followers, the bureaucracy melted, the $15,000 bonds were waived, the paperwork that usually takes months was processed in hours. The machine that had kept Anna out suddenly found a way to let her in. Just days after the Spain match, Ana Candida Avora was granted her visa. She was given her passage to America. Cape Verde's next game is against Uruguay. Their place in the tournament is on the line. For the first time in her 59 years, she will sit in a World Cup stadium. She will watch her boy walk out. She will see him stand in that goal, and the stakes could not be higher. That single point against Spain changed the math of the entire group. In this new, expanded 48-team format, a draw against a giant is gold. It puts Cape Verde in a position to reach the knockout rounds. After Uruguay, they face Saudi Arabia. If they win or draw again, the fairy tale continues. Ana has not lost an ounce of her confidence. From her home before she left, she repeated her mantra. She said she is a great goalkeeper's mother. She said she expects him to keep saving every ball that comes his way. Think about the shape of this narrative. It is a story of extreme ends. A boy raised by grandparents on a tiny island, a man who turned pro too late, a keeper who almost quit the game entirely. At 40 years old, he is still playing in the second division, yet on the biggest stage in the sport, he walked out and neutralized the best team in the world. He wrote history for a country that had never tasted it. The only shadow on that beautiful day was the institutional cruelty of the visa system. It was the idea that a mother's presence is a commodity to be traded, but that shadow is finally lifting. When Cape Verde lines up against Uruguay, the cameras will be on the strikers. They will be on the tactics. They will be on the star players. But you should look elsewhere. Look at the goal. Watch the man in the gloves. Then look up into the stands. Look for the woman who knew the result before the game even started. For the first time in her life, she will be exactly where she belongs. She will be there to see the man the world calls the granny, but she simply calls her son. The numbers told us Cape Verde would lose. The bank accounts told us his mother would stay home. Both were wrong. In the end, the system blinked. The wall fell. Now the game can truly begin. The stadium lights will catch the tears in her eyes this time. They will be different from the tears her son shed in Atlanta. Those were tears of absence. These will be tears of presence. A mother watching her son defy the world is the only statistic that actually matters. The archipelago is watching. The world is watching. The seat is no longer empty. How many other mothers are still waiting for a visa?